Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Red Sparrow. The trailers for this film looked pretty awesome, I do have to say. It seems as though Jennifer Lawrence is kind of getting back into her wheelhouse, enjoying being in a little bit more artistic projects, and this looked like an awesome spy action film with another female in our lead. But when it comes down to the final project, I have to say, I think it's good, but definitely not great. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, we started talking about Jennifer Lawrence herself, and I think she is very good in this film, including Mother, which I didn't like as a film, but I really loved her performance. And now Red Sparrow, I do think Lawrence is finding her way back to the really solid acting chops that made her the household name that she is today. She's very charismatic, very emotive in this film, and I think she pulls off the perfect balance that needed to be pulled off for this character. But really, everybody's great. Matthias Schoenaerts is really good, though a little bit one note. Jeremy Irons also a little bit one note, but does what he's asked. And then we have Joel Edgerton, who is very good. I think he is very endearing throughout the entire film. Charlotte Rampling is in here for just a little bit, also very good. They all just pull off exactly what it is they were asked to do. I also found the third act of this film to be very, very good. This is when it all kind of kicks in. This is when the mystery starts to really amp up, and the reveal to what it is we're following this entire time was done very well. I thought they set it up nicely throughout the film, and all of the callbacks made perfect sense, so it was really fun to get a payoff that the film actually earned and had set up and had laid the groundwork for throughout the entirety of the movie. It's also a gorgeous film. It's shot very, very well, including the ballet scenes, the fighting scenes worked well, everything just looked gorgeous. Unfortunately, though, there are also a lot of problems I had with Red Sparrow. First of all, while the acting itself was great, the accents not as great. Russian accents 90% of the time come off feeling forced and fake and are very difficult to make actually feel genuine. And I don't really think anybody made them feel genuine here. Certainly not Jennifer Lawrence. For one, her accent really went in and out and was all over the place throughout the entire film. But everybody's Russian accent was just a mess, honestly. And in saying that, I don't know why they even set this in Russia. I don't know why they didn't just set this in the United States or a country in which our actors could pull off the accent easier, because it was rough with those accents. And I said all of our actors did a good job with what they were given, because our characters are very one note for the most part. Matthias Schoenaerts was very one note. I don't think his character moved off the needle almost at all. He stayed straightforward. Charlotte Rampling is not given much screen time. She does what she's asked to do, but she's not asked to do much. Same thing with Joel Edgerton. His character is a very stereotype that we've seen a lot in these type of films. He plays it well, but his character doesn't actually have all that much depth to him. Jeremy Irons has no depth to his character, and then we get to Jennifer Lawrence, our main character, the person we are following and meant to care about throughout the film. She definitely has more layers. She is a bit more of a complex character. I never wavered on which side her character was on. I didn't quite catch on as she was doing the things she was doing throughout the film as to how she was going to try to complete her mission in the end, but I was on board with where she was fully. But all of the characters just lacked a certain amount of development. And then we move on to the Red Sparrow program itself. I was anticipating like a legit kind of spy program, a program that created like fully developed spies and infiltrators. No, it is fully and solely dedicated to sex and using sexuality to get what you want. And I wasn't intrigued by this. It was a far less intriguing concept than what the trailers kind of led on to make you believe it was. So this isn't really an action film at all. It's definitely a spy film, and the action is very secondary. Having said that, it's a very violent film, so don't mistake action for violence, because there's not action present, but there's a lot of violence present. But the program itself is legitimately 100% focused on sex. That's all we're focused on. She walks by a group of people shooting one time in the film and like people running for a little bit. But everything is just revolving around sex and getting what you want through sex. And honestly, this is a co-ed program here, and they state that most of the Sparrows are from military backgrounds, so there are plenty of males in here. I would have rather followed a male in this instance. It's always great to have females in these kind of roles, but when it comes to someone using their sexuality to get what they want and to maneuver, it would have been far more interesting to follow a male doing this, because that's something we never see. That would have been unique and different and a nice new take. Following a gorgeous woman like Jennifer Lawrence doing it, well, it did feel a little bit like, oh, so this is just a femme fatale type of situation. We've seen it. We've seen it done so many times, and this is pretty much the female role in every spy thriller, which was a bit of a letdown. Thankfully, they do elevate her character in overall intelligence and skill, but whereas in something like Atomic Blonde, the sexuality was still a problem, at least she was sufficient in just combat. Jennifer Lawrence just kind of like went off of pure survival instinct, but she wasn't trained in anything, really. It was all about just who she was as a person and her being able to use that and manipulate it to where she was going. And the film is really long. Way too long. And honestly, I wasn't very interested. The whole first act was basically a throwaway act to me because I was not interested at all. And most of that second act, I also wasn't very interested. I think 2/3 of this movie are pretty dull and pretty boring. Yeah, we see people pretty much get decapitated by wire and a lot of blood and a lot of violence, but it still just drags through the first 2 acts until we finally get somewhere in that final act. And the final act is very strong all the way around and gives us a really fun, good, rewarding payoff in the end. And in that aspect, the film is successful. It leaves you off on a high note, on a positive note, on a satisfying note. So you kind of leave the movie feeling more positive. And I have to say, it did affect me, it influenced me, and it definitely bumped my overall thoughts of the film up, because before that I wasn't going to give this movie all that high of a grade. But in saying that, the payoff does kind of retrospectively improve the rest of the film, because you go back and you inspect and you see what was happening. And there are things to appreciate here, and it is a beautiful film to watch. So, in saying all of that, I would give this a matinee. If you are intrigued by those trailers, if you do like a good spy thriller, you'll like this well enough to give it a matinee for sure. Otherwise, it's worth a rental. I think there's enough going on here that you won't be mad you rented it. But I don't think it pulls off a full price ticket. It just isn't there. So, that is my review of Red Sparrow. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Red Sparrow? And what is your favorite femme fatale style film? Let me know either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!